first. I am Christ, I am disciple, also known as Anson Phillip, and we are going to talk just very briefly about why WB is trying to skew the truth and tell some lies about what's really going on when it comes to Superman and the profitability or lack thereof of that film. So let me start off by saying that Warner Bros. Discovery has shareholders. It has people who actually have shares in the company. And so all of this is performance by trades and by the industry and certain people who are hired hands of WB, like Variety, for example. They're publishing these things not because they're true, but because they want to impress and influence the investors to believe that this is the truth that's really happening with the situation. As I already said, WBD's budget for Superman is false. There's no way the budget was $225 million. What are you saying? This film is cheaper than any other Superman movie that ever came out, including Christopher Reeve's Superman 1978. That's what you're saying? This is the cheapest film ever made? $225 million. It has never been the cost of any comic book movie, first of all, okay? $225 million. So you're telling me with inflation and all these things, you're getting a $225 million movie, right? Now, we do know Warner Brothers has a studio now. They have a studio where they can shoot comic book movies. They've invested a lot of money in that. Then we have marketing, which all of a sudden, that's the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about marketing. Marketing, they get write-offs on marketing. But still have to market. You still have to put out money. You may get back that money at the end of the year, but you're not getting it back as the movie's coming out, as the movie's rolling out. So, no, marketing is a thing, okay? And when you put those two things together, the budget and marketing, no matter what these guys try to spin at you, you're not going to make no money. Okay? So with Superman, we already know that movie needed to make $840 million, I think $670 million minimum, even I think $620 million even. It needed to make something around there. And not even 620, actually, 670 million, 600. So if you look at Man of Steel adjusted for inflation is 920 something million it made, and it had to break 840 something million to break even. Okay. And Man of Steel wasn't this tremendously expensive film back then. In fact, it had the equivalent of what they have today without inflation, which is 225 million, they say Man of Steel took to make. So when you put that into perspective, you realize almost very quickly that this Superman film, no way, shape, or form, cost $225 million. We all know it was the same thing like The Flash. It's the same thing like Black Adam, right? And Black Adam cost less, right? But what I'm trying to say is all the bullshit that they're putting out there right now in the trades, and by the way, that's an estimate by Variety. They don't really have concrete numbers. They're just guessing what happened. Is to spin investors, my friends. They don't care about you. They're doing this to spin it to make investors believe that this film made money. You know why? Because they had a series of flops before that. Aquaman was the best of the flops. This is now the best of the flops. This was a Justice League movie. This was not a Superman movie. And it only made $614 million, sorry. Okay? So that should tell you everything you need to know. I am what you need. I thought I would share this before I get out of here. You guys can spread this information. It's real simple, people. It's real simple. They're trying to convince the investors that they did something when they didn't. WB is known, and James Gunn, for lying, for falsifying information. There are lawsuits against them for falsifying information concerning subscribers on the HBO Max HBO service. They've been lying to you for the longest while, and they continue to lie. The opening numbers for example, Superman, the opening weekend, they lied about that being more than Man of Steel by including all the monies that they made before the movie debuted on Friday. So I'm saying if they lie like that, you know they're lying now. And ain't nobody believing them. Okay? That studio has been lying. They have had reshoots, which cost a whole set of money as well. So that budget is pretty high. I would say that budget is $300+ million. And advertising, $200 million. They put out a lot of money in advertising. So when they say that, oh, and that's why they don't want to talk about marketing now, but you gotta include it. And those are the facts of the point. Anyways, I have spent enough time on this topic. The reason they're doing this is to convince investors, ladies and gentlemen, to continue this universe, a universe that has flopped, and they're still pursuing the flop agenda. So since 2017, after Justice League flopped and Aquaman did okay, all right, it was a prequel. It was a precursor. It was a premonition of what was to come. And they're still sticking with that. So you can tell where this company really lays its allegiance. It lays its allegiance to trying to be like Marvel, to try and crack jokes. Grace Randolph even spoke on this. They're not interested in another direction. And they're going to do it to their demise because the next movie is going to do even worse and the next movie is going to do even worse. And they don't mind because individuals in that company are going to benefit off of that. They don't have a problem failing upwards. And they're really going to drag this company into the dirt. You have to get new management to manage this company. When you see movies like The Batman, they don't even want The Batman to have a sequel, but they're quick to try and get any kind of follow-up with James Gunn's movie. That should tell you everything you need to know. Okay, everything you need to know. So, RIP DC and RIP Warner Brothers, right? You're telling me you got figures for Superman. You're telling me Superman did better in profit than Sinners. Who's gonna believe this shit? This is humorous. And then on top of that, they're telling you that they don't know the numbers. They don't know the numbers for the Minecraft movie. They don't know the profitability for the Minecraft. Get the fuck out of here. That's just like when they said they don't know the profitability for Zack Snyder's Justice League when it came out on HBO Max, but they knew it performed less than the other movies. It's bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. It's bullshit. When you see the hype and the buzz on a movie, Minecraft showed you. The numbers say it for themselves. Obviously, Minecraft's way more profitable than those movies, and the numbers should be there. You got the numbers for Superman, a fucking flop. You got the numbers. You saying it's outperformed Sinners, which was not a flop by any means. You're telling me also you ain't got the numbers for Minecraft. Get the fuck out of here. Stop the bullshit, man. People need to stop bullshitting us. We can see it. And if the shareholders are that stupid to listen to these people, they need to vote a no confidence in David Zaslav getting fired. And you need to have no confidence in James Gunn. Otherwise, you're going to see the DC brand run into the trash, and your stock is going to keep on plummeting. All right? It's holding at $12 a share, but believe you me, David Zaslav is pumping a whole set of money into that to keep it the way it is. This company is losing so much money, billions of dollars, trying to keep a certain image, to try and force a narrative that Marvel-like movies pay. They're doing a whole set of gymnastics to try to make you believe that a Marvel movie is better than a DC movie. So they're not even trying to be like DC. They're telling us straight off, we're sold out to Walt Disney. We're Disney shills, and we came to promote Disney and Disney's agenda. They're straight up telling you this. And the majority of executives in that company are down that line, and they are not changing their minds. So the only way you can ever possibly, as fans, see the DC you want to see is to get these motherfuckers fired and get them out of there. That is the only way. I Show Speed. Shout out to you, brother. I Show Speed is really cool. That's the only way you're gonna get this situation resolved, because the executives there, and there are some long-standing executives in that company, and they've had this stupid mindset for the longest while. They're sold out to fucking Disney. They're sold out to Marvel. And Marvel is going down. Marvel is not doing good. Marvel is going down, and they're going down with Marvel. You know what I'm saying? And it's stupid. but it's profitable to the people who are doing these stupid things. That's why they're doing it. Their pockets are being lined. Nobody else's pockets are being lined. The shareholders are suffering. The fans are suffering. Roger Needley says, love from India. Shout out to you, brother. The shareholders are suffering. And the thing's going down the tubes. The company, Abby and DeLuca, are trying their best to keep the company profitable, but this fucking company, man, these fucking execs in this company, man, they're hell-bent on destroying it. Because their main brand, which is DC, that's supposed to make them billions, is sucking billions from them. Okay? And the directors that actually can make profitable movies, the directors that actually give a fuck about DC, they're firing them or they're giving them a hard time. So it tells me this company is not run by people who are pro DC. This was run by Marvel heads, Marvel fucking tards. You got Marvel tards up and down inside of that fucking company, and they are destroying the company. And James Gunn is just one of many of them. Okay, and that company is getting destroyed. Okay, so Johan Nigley says, waiting for Doomsday. Man, Doomsday's already here, man. And Dr. Doom's on the other side with Marvel. They're both tearing their companies down. They're destroying them. They're not listening to fans, which is stupid. They're not listening to, they're trying to fool their shareholders, and they're providing the most crappy, cheap, disgusting looking entertainment I've ever seen. And those people who are geeking and marveling off of this shit, you're shills. And you're a part of the problem. You know? Because these movies are flopping. These movies are not making no money for the company. They're just sucking money out of the company. And they continue to make these movies. That is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. You continue to make flops. A flop, you know, you think after the first flop, we need to change up something, right? Nope. I'm going to get you guys later. I am Christ, I am disciple. Peace.